My stepdad gave me a cute clock for my birthday, then I found the hidden camera, tracked down who planted it, and left him to suffer behind bars. My stepdad got me a cute wall clock for my birthday, but I discovered it had a hidden camera, and now my family's relationship is falling apart. I don't even know where to start with this one. It's been a whirlwind of a day, and I feel like I'm stuck in a nightmare. Let me give you the rundown. I, an 18-year-old female, live with my mom and my stepdad Joshua. My mom married Josh 6 months ago after a horrible divorce with my dad. I'm not getting into the details, but my dad had an affair with someone and got caught in the act. It was awful. It was messy, and I'm not in contact with him anymore, and neither is my mom. So now, about Joshua. Josh has been friends with my mom for as long as I can remember. I never knew he had a thing with my mom, and I don't think anything happened before the divorce. I grew up calling him Uncle Josh and hanging around his practice. He's a dentist, so it was kind of weird getting used to him being like a dad to me, but I have always liked him, and he makes my mom really happy. So why not, I guess. The reason I'm telling you guys about all this is because I want to make it clear that I am familiar with Josh and I have been around him a lot. Anyway, coming back to what's actually happening right now. Yesterday was my birthday. I usually don't make much of a fuss about my birthday. I went to school, and after that, went out with my friends. It was nice. I didn't expect anything more. When I came back home though, I realized my mom and Josh had this whole surprise party planned for me. I had no clue, which is surprising because usually my mom is terrible with secrets. So I walked in, and my mom, Josh, my Aunt Kathy, and my little cousins were there to surprise me. It was actually kind of nice. We did the whole happy birthday thing, and there was a cake, and everyone seemed happy. So everything was good. My mom made all my favorite food, and dinner was delicious. Then it was time for presents, which is where things went very, very wrong. I started with the presents from my cousins and Aunt Kathy. Then it was time for my mom and Josh, and they got me concert tickets for one of my favorite bands. I was over the moon. I worked part-time at a diner and had been saving up for ages to afford a ticket, so as far as I was concerned, this was the best birthday gift ever. My aunt and cousins left a bit after that, and I went to my room, stoked to tell my best friend about the tickets. I was already in bed and talking to her when there was a knock at my door. It was Josh, and he said that there was one more present for me. At that point, I was convinced that nothing could ever top the concert tickets, so I was really excited to see what else there was. Josh went into their bedroom and came out with this huge box. I couldn't wait and absolutely tore into the wrapping to see what was inside. At first, I was confused. It was a clock, a wall clock to be more specific. It was pink. Pink is my favorite color, and had these little strawberry designs on it. It was really cute but kind of overwhelming after the tickets. I was still grateful for it though and kept it on my study table. Josh asked me if I liked it, and I said yes. He seemed really happy and said the concert tickets were my mom's idea, and he wanted to get me something on his own without any help from my mom. My room is all pink, and I have a lot of strawberry-themed things, so the clock was kind of perfect. I thought it was pretty sweet and thanked him again for caring so much for me. He wished me a happy birthday once more and left. I was getting pretty sleepy, so I told Amy that I was going to crash and that I would see her tomorrow. She was on call and heard Josh come in and asked me what he got. I told her it was a clock, and she asked me to show it. I told her I'd do it in the morning, but she was stubborn as usual and wouldn't listen. So I agreed and told her I'd take a picture of it and send it to her, but I would not be getting out of bed, so she would have to make do with an awful dark picture with my flash on. My study table is right next to my bed. When I'm lying down, I can stretch my arm just enough to reach it. Feeling super lazy, I just decided to stretch and take the stupid picture from bed, and that's when I noticed something suspicious. Really suspicious. So my room was really dark. I didn't have any night lights or fairy lights in my room because I needed complete darkness to fall asleep. I took my phone, opened the camera, turned on my flash, and pointed it to the clock. That's when I saw it, a little bluish light on the clock. The time flashed in a baby pink, but there was a distinct blue light. I thought it was weird but didn't think much of it. I took the picture and sent it to Amy and tried to just sleep. I almost fell asleep when I remembered something I saw in some movie or TV show forever ago, and immediately sat straight up. I looked at the clock again. I looked up some stuff on Google and tried to take a picture of it again, but this time with my front camera. Guess what? The same blue light. That confirmed it. There was a hidden camera in that clock. If you didn't know, you can detect hidden cameras with the front cameras of most phones and sometimes even the back camera. I don't exactly know where I learned this, but I am a huge nerd for crime documentaries, so maybe some show or other. I was sure that there was a camera in that clock though, and it was recording me. I felt a pit in my stomach. I didn't know what was happening. Why would Josh get me something like that? Someone might have been watching me right at that very moment. That thought snapped me out of the shock I was in. I got up and threw the clock in the trash, and when I came back to bed, I was shaking. I was confused. I didn't know what was happening. All of it was just crazy to me. I didn't know what to do, so I called Amy and woke her up. I told her what happened, and she was just as freaked out as I was. We were on call for a while, and she said that I should call the cops because clearly Josh was some sort of pervert, and who knows where else he had put secret cameras. The thought of that made my stomach turn. I thought of immediately going to my mom and Josh and telling them what happened, but I was so confused, used, and scared at that moment. It almost felt like a bad dream. Amy and I went on the internet trying to find this particular clock on some shady site. We had to do some digging, and sure enough, we found it. That site was full of creepy spying objects and stuff like that. The worst part, I also saw stuffed animals there, which made me feel even more paranoid because I have a lot of stuffed animals, and some were bought by my mom and Josh over the years, and who knew where he might have found them. I felt like everything in my room was just watching me. It was probably one of the worst things I have ever been through. I didn't know what else to do, so I just took all the stuffed animals that I didn't buy myself, including the clock, put them in a trash bag, and dumped it all. At that point, I felt physically sick and decided to just go to sleep for the night and deal with this in the morning. I took some melatonin, put on some white noise, and tried to sleep. I don't know when I fell asleep, but I must not have gotten a lot of it. My mom woke me up screaming my name. I was disoriented and couldn't register what she was saying for a minute. After a while, I understood that she was screaming about the stupid wall clock. She said that Josh found it while taking out the trash that morning, and he was extremely hurt by what I did. I took a deep breath and told her that if she could just give me a second, I would explain everything, and she would be glad I threw that thing in the trash. She called me an ungrateful brat and said that I wasn't worth any effort they took to make my birthday special, and told me to immediately go and apologize to Josh. Before I tell you what happened, keep in mind that it was very early in the morning, at least for me, a little before 7. I obviously had a rough night and didn't sleep much anyway, and my mom being so agitated put me in a bad mood as well. So when she told me to apologize to Josh, I told her that he's lucky I wasn't turning him into the police for being the massive pedo creep that he was. My mom lost it at that and slapped me. I was shocked. In 18 years, she has never raised her hand at me, and the first time she did, it was because of a man. I was offended, but more than that, I was really hurt. The full-fledged reality of what was happening set in, and I started to cry. My mom thought that I was crying because of the slap, but well, that was only partially true. I was just overwhelmed with everything, and I needed her support at that point, but she just made things worse for me. She saw me crying and said that there was no point in tears, and I should have thought before throwing away a gift that was given to me so thoughtfully and not acting like a brat. This was my last straw. I got really angry at her and screamed that she should think twice before defending her husband. She got even angrier at that and asked me to be careful about what I said next. I had enough at that point. I got down from bed, grabbed my phone and car keys, and asked her if she knew where Josh got that clock from. She literally thought that I was trying to say it was a cheap gift, which is why I threw it away, and started saying something again. I told her I had enough and not to waste her energy. She was standing right in front of me, and I pushed her aside, ran to my car, and drove away. She followed me to the driveway and tried to stop me, but luckily, I was quick enough to get away. I drove to a nearby diner and sat there for a while, trying to think of my next move. I knew I couldn't go home. I called Amy, and she told me to just go over to her place, so that's where I've been since the afternoon. We decided to confront my mom and tell her the truth, so we shared screenshots of that creepy site which had the clock I got. I sent it to her and waited. In about an hour, I started getting calls and texts from both her and Josh. I didn't want to talk to either of them, so I didn't pick up any calls, but the texts were all apologies. Both of them said that they were ashamed of how they acted and should have given me a chance to talk instead of lashing out at me. They said that they could explain if I gave them a chance, but honestly, I don't care. I don't see how this can be explained or made okay, and I definitely don't want to go back home. So I texted her saying that she should stop trying to reach me because I'm not interested in hearing her out. She texted back a long paragraph saying that Josh was innocent and would never do anything like that. Apparently, the wall clock was bought by his assistant Peter. Josh did want to get me something for my birthday without mom's help, but clearly couldn't care enough to pick something out for himself, so he asked Peter. Peter is this new guy who has been working for Josh for the last few months or so. Josh hired him fresh out of college, so he is not much older than me. Since Josh's practice is pretty nearby, he sometimes sends Peter around to run errands like getting his lunch, and he has even come to dinner, so I have met him a few times. He's always seemed kind of creepy to me, so it isn't exactly the biggest surprise that he would try to do something like this. I mean, He has never even tried to talk to me directly, and I have no reason to believe that he was capable of doing something like that. My mom's text said that they wanted to call the cops on Peter but wouldn't do it without my permission. If that wasn't enough, she would leave Josh because he put me in this spot with his carelessness. That kind of shocked me because I know my mom really loves Josh, so it must have been hard for her to say that. This finally made me call her. My mom sounded devastated. She had no idea about the camera and felt incredibly guilty for not believing me earlier. She kept sobbing and apologizing a million times. She said she was sorry for everything, especially for slapping me and not listening to me when I needed her the most. She said that she just wanted me to come back home and apologize to me in person. She said that she wanted to make things right between us. I told her that I still wasn't ready to see her but asked her if she was sure that it was Peter and not Josh who bought the clock. She said she trusts Josh. I told her that I was still not comfortable living in the same house as him, and she said that I was more important to her and that if I wanted to, she would get separated from Josh. I told her that I needed time to think. Also, I got like a million missed calls from Josh, but I didn't pick up any of them. He has texted me many times saying he can prove that it was Peter who bought the clock and he had no idea that it had any sort of camera. He also said that my mom wasn't speaking to him and begged me to hear him out. He said he loved my mom and loved me as a daughter and would never even think of doing something to hurt either of us. So that's what my day has been like. Amy has been my rock, and she said I can stay with her for as long as I need. It's just her and her grandma at their house, and I know her grandma very well. I'm sure she won't have a problem with me crashing till I figure out what my next move is. My mom has even tried to reach Amy, but she didn't pick up. I guess it's not hard to figure out where I would go in a situation like this. I just hope she doesn't actually show up at her door. I feel really guilty and conflicted. I feel like maybe I should hear him out and see if he actually has proof, but at the same time, I'm scared and feel unsafe at the thought of seeing him. I don't want to destroy my mom's marriage over a misunderstanding though, so I'm wondering if I'm doing something wrong here. Amy says that I'm right and should only do what feels right to me, but I am not sure at all. So the morning after I wrote my post, my mom and Josh actually showed up at Amy's place. Honestly, I wasn't even surprised. I told my mom that I didn't want to see Josh yet and it would be better if they just left, but she begged me to hear her out. She was really emotional, and I could see that she had been crying. Even Josh looked pretty rough, so I kind of felt bad for them and decided to just hear them out once. I'll clear things up first. Josh was not lying about Peter picking out the gift. He showed me texts between the two of them, and although he said that he had told Peter to find the gift directly, so there was no text about that, I did see text from Peter saying found the perfect item and a picture of the clock. It was just an image and not a link to the website or even a screenshot. It looked like an ordinary clock, just the way it did to me when I first got it. Josh said that he liked it and told him to order it at the office address and send him the invoice. It really was a basic conversation and nothing suspicious. I started thinking of all the times I have interacted with Peter. It was nothing that stood out a lot, honestly. He has just been a little creepy. I've caught him looking at me. I thought it was harmless and sort of funny and never thought twice about it. I told Mom and Josh about this, and they were furious. Josh kept apologizing to me over and over again, saying he failed me and put me in danger and that he would never forgive himself. Of course, at that point, I knew that none of this was his fault, and I was not angry at him at all. I agreed to go back home with them. I can't believe I almost destroyed their marriage over this. It's also gross to think that some random creep was trying to spy on me. Wondering if the camera was on when I got the clock and he already saw me for a bit just gives me the chills. It's just awful. All of this is a nightmare. I've been talking to Mom and Josh, and we all agree that we should go to the police about this. We have enough proof to make sure Josh doesn't get caught up in the middle of the investigation, and he has said that he's willing to go through anything to get me justice. We're going to the police tomorrow morning. The clock is still in the trash. We don't want to take it out because it might still be working, and we don't want to alert Peter in case he's still watching. I'm nervous about the whole thing, but at least I have support. I just hope that they catch him and teach him a lesson. Also, a lot of you said that I shouldn't trust Josh because there's a chance he was in on it with Peter and that he's just trying to put all the blame on the guy now that they've gotten caught. I do see where you guys are coming from, but honestly, I trust him, and Peter definitely has been a creep for as long as I have known him. Also, even if Josh was capable of doing something so disgusting, why would he go to Peter of all people? He's just some guy who's been working with him for a few months. I've already told you guys about the texts. I saw them directly on Josh's phone, and I even checked the time between each text. It doesn't look like any texts in between were deleted, and Josh showed me that he had transferred money to Peter's account for the clock. He had no way of knowing where the clock was actually bought from. All of this makes me feel like I can trust him. Also, I would rather give Josh the benefit of the doubt instead of Peter, obviously. Sure, He probably should have been more careful, and ideally, he should be the one picking out a gift for his stepdaughter and not making his assistant do it, but that does not make him a criminal. And it's not like Peter would heroically take the fall for Josh when we call the cops, because there is definitely enough proof to get him in trouble, you know. I don't think it's true or even possible, but if Josh was involved in any way with all this, I'm sure the investigation will reveal the truth. So that's that. Also, some of you have asked how Peter could have known that I would like a clock like that. Well, apart from the fact that Josh said that he literally told Peter to look for something that is pink and preferably has strawberries, it really isn't a huge guess for anyone to make. I love pink. I am almost always dressed in all pink. I have a million strawberry-themed things. It is just who I am. It's a part of my personality. I think instead of that, we should focus on the fact that these products even exist. A lot of you have been asking me to name the site that he got the clock from. I don't want to do that because I don't want any trouble, but I am sure you guys can find it if you search for hidden cam clocks online. It didn't take Amy and me much time to find it that night. We called the cops on Peter, and he got arrested. After reading through all your comments and talking it over with my mom and Josh, I decided that I couldn't let this go without taking action. I was still feeling shaken and scared, but I knew I needed to do something to protect myself and possibly others. I had a long conversation with Amy too, and I realized that there was a chance he might be doing this to other girls, maybe even minors, and that made me really determined to stop him. After having breakfast and gathering my thoughts, I decided to call the police. My mom and Josh stayed with me the whole time because I definitely needed some emotional support. I explained everything to the dispatcher, the hidden camera, the suspicious clock, and my confrontation with my mom. They took it very seriously and sent 2 officers to our house to take my statement. The officer was very understanding and professional. I was kind of scared and suspicious about how it would go, but he just asked me to describe the clock in detail and any other item I thought might be suspicious. He asked me about any interactions I had with Peter, and I told him about as much as I could remember, even though there wasn't much to say. I also told him about the website Amy and I found which sold similar spy devices. He assured me that they would investigate everything thoroughly. We also shared the texts between Josh and Peter showing that Josh had asked Peter to pick out the gift. The officer also said that he needed Josh to go with him for questioning. Josh agreed immediately and said that he would do everything needed to cooperate with the investigation. My mom got kind of nervous about him going to the police station, but he told us both that there was no need to worry and that he would be back before I knew it. After taking my statement, the officer asked if I felt safe staying at home and if I had any friends or family members I could stay with. I told him I was all right and trusted my mom and Joshua. He told me to contact them if I felt unsafe. He also mentioned that they would need to search my mom and Josh's house to look for other possible hidden cameras or suspicious items. The police conducted a thorough search of our house. They checked things around my room in particular for quite some time but did not find anything except the clock and the other stuffed animals I threw away. Josh said that none of the other items were bought by Peter or anyone else. My mom agreed and said that almost all the items I threw away were actually bought by her. They did still go through them but didn't find anything suspicious. They didn't find anything else in our house in any other room. My mom was visibly relieved when the police confirmed that there were no other objects of concern. Josh left with the cops and came back after a few hours. I asked him what happened, but he said that it was all standard, and they asked him if he wanted a lawyer, but he said no. They said that he might be called in again. The cops also said that they wanted my mom to go over to the precinct for some standard questioning tomorrow, and they said that they needed me to come in too for paperwork and other stuff. Peter was arrested at his home and is now under investigation for invasion of privacy and other related crimes. I don't know much about what is happening right now, but I just hope that he confesses or they get enough evidence to convict him and prove that Josh wasn't involved in any of this. It has been an exhausting day. I just want all of this to be over soon. My mom and Josh have been very nice and are giving me space to deal with everything. We have also gotten a lawyer who I will be meeting tomorrow. I'll wait for things to reach a definite point and also take time to process all of this. I've been really busy, so I apologize for how long this took. First things first, Peter was found guilty, and we pressed charges against him. He actually did not put up a fight at all and admitted to buying the camera clock without Josh's knowledge to spy on me. The only silver lining in all of this is that we found no evidence of him doing anything similar in the past. Because I was a minor when Peter first started working for Josh, he didn't bother to delete his search history, so the police found the site with the surveillance devices on his computer. And on a more disturbing note, they also found that he actually follows me on almost all of my social media using fake IDs. I obviously had no idea about this, and it really creeped me out. He admitted that he had a crush on me when he first saw me, which is extremely creepy because he's an adult, and again, I was only 17 when he came around. The police didn't find any evidence of him doing anything except following me on social media while I was still a minor though. He said that he knew he couldn't approach me directly, so when Josh asked him to pick out a present, he came up with this disgusting plan. I don't even want to think about what would have happened if I had not noticed that camera that night. Since he had no prior convictions or criminal charges against him, this was considered a misdemeanor instead of a felony, even though we tried to charge him with a felony. He spent a few days in jail but was bailed out. I'm quite disappointed with how things turned out in this aspect, but whatever he did is permanently on his record, and that is all I can say to myself. I think that is everything that has happened over the last few months. I'm currently focusing on school and getting into college. I'm also going to therapy to deal with the trauma of what happened. I'm glad I have my mom, Amy, and Josh to support me through all of this.